I'm going to be doing this in just 1 week. Hello, my name is Sam West and this is Wild West, the show where I do the world's most obscure extreme sports with just 1 week's practice. In this, episode 2, I'll be trying cheese rolling. Cheese rolling is an annual event where competitors run down an almost vertical hill, racing after a wheel of cheese. The event is held every year in Gloucester, England, and the first mention of the event was found in an old newspaper from 1826. The cheese itself weighs 4 kilos, and by the time it reaches the bottom of the hill, it's travelling at 70 miles per hour. Around a third of the people taking part get injured, so this is definitely one of the most dangerous races in the world. Even the spectators have been injured in the past after the wheel of cheese flew off into the crowd. This is definitely what you'd call a British event. Right, let's break this down to its key factors. There's 4 main factors I've got to overcome to get ready for this wild event. First of all is my nerves. This is a really fast and dangerous sport with a very high likelihood of getting injured, so I need to have the nerve to be able to look past those things and focus on what I need to do to get to the bottom safely. Second is adaptability. From the top to the bottom of the hill, there's no way of telling what's going to happen, so I've got to be able to adapt to every slip, trip and fall to get myself after that cheese as fast as possible. Third is reaction time. This one's going to be really difficult because the average person comes down the hill at about 17 miles per hour. This is going to give me less than a fraction of a second to adjust each step. And fourth is strength. At this point, I just got to hope that my muscles, tendons and ligaments are all going to be strong enough to put up with the impacts of this sport. Otherwise, I'm going to have some very interesting looking limbs. So where do I start? I thought the best thing to do would be get a good look at the hill, which by the way is way steeper than it looks in the video, and also get some advice off of somebody who really knows what they're talking about. This is Chris Anderson. He holds the all-time record at the cheese roll, managing to win 22 times. Like a proper Brockworth local, Chris has been doing the competition since he was a little kid. He's even snuck past police roadblocks to take on the hill after the competition was cancelled due to health and safety concerns. There isn't anyone else on earth that could possibly be more qualified to help me get ready for this competition. Now, I did want to have a run around with Chris, but he'd hurt his ankle the week before, so we sat down for a nice civilised chat instead. Okay, well, we are here with Chris Anderson, the 22-time?
Yep.
22-time champ of the cheese rolling competition. Where are we, Chris?
So, Cooper's Hill in Brockworth, Gloucester, home of the cheese roll.
Obviously, very dangerous.
Yep.
On race day, like, what kind of injuries are there that happen?
So the most sort of injuries are cuts and bruises, but you get the occasional broken leg, broken wrist.
Oh, nothing serious then?
There has been 1 or 2 broken necks, nothing like paralysed.
Okay,
They
that's always good.
They walked again. The one girl actually wants to do it again.
Really?
Advised against it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised you'd advise again. They're like pogo sticking off your head on the way down, and she's like, yeah, I'll see it again. Am I right thinking that you've actually gone across the line completely unconscious before as well?
Yeah, in 2008 I think it was. Fortunately for me that year it was hammering down, so like the ground was softer but not soft enough to stop me getting knocked out.
Yeah, because we were talking about earlier saying whether you'd want to basically be dry or whether it should be wet.
Yeah, so when it's been raining it's real hard to stay on your feet.
Well, I was just trying to go up there earlier and it's almost impossible.
Yeah, but when it's drier it's a lot easier to grip, especially if you've got on sort of grippy training.
Yeah, trail runners you said was the one, wasn't it?
I tend to wear trail shoes or Astros.
Oh, like Mouldies?
Not with studs.
Why not studs?
Because a couple of people have run down and there was one guy who snapped his ankle where his studs
dug in
and
all of
basically
his weight went on it.
It dug in, he went forward, his leg stayed there and his leg snapped about here and his foot was just hanging.
Oh, one thing we're going to ask, we're talking about on the way, ankle's giving you jip at the moment.
Yeah.
Do you reckon this year you'll be taking part?
I'm hoping to still. Got sort of a sponsorship to fulfill.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to run, but there's question marks because I'm going on holiday 2 weeks after.
Ah, so you don't want to be messed up for your holiday?
Don't want to be flying with a broken leg.
Since you're doing it this year, or 90% this year, do you think you'll be doing it after that, or do you think this will be...
So I've said it for a few years now that I'm not going to do it anymore, and it's the same this year. Like I'm planning for this to be the last one, but when race day comes, it's sort of hard not to throw myself into it.
Yeah, I bet. But it's one of those like every year, like honour this one, this one.
So I don't know if it's part of your question, so I don't want to tell you.
No, you can sit whatever you want. Go on.
Yeah. So when you're sat at the top,
yeah,
and you'll be shitting yourself as soon as he starts doing his countdown. So we'll go 1 to be ready, 2 to be steady, 3 for the cheese, at which point the person throws the cheese, and then 4 to be off, so you go on 4. run the first 20 metres. I know you think, how the fuck can you run that?
Yeah.
Sorry, language.
Oh, you can swear, it's
how
fine.
can you run that? But if you run that first 20 metres, you're in a much better chance of winning than anyone else. Because you'll find 80% won't run.
Really? Now, me and Chris ended up covering race lines, tactics, and the best ways that I can train over this coming week. And we actually ended up filming for more than an hour and a half. So instead of making you sit through what is essentially a podcast, let's get on with some training. Driven a whole hour and 10 minutes to come to here. Braunton Burrows. You see what I'm thinking? The plan is get some sprints as fast as I can, get some rolls in. So I want to see what it's like rolling this, even though I'm going to get it everywhere. I'm also going to do a couple of times of flipping myself over on purpose and going way off balance so that I can kind of try and flip myself back up. I know it's just sand and it's not the same, but needs must. Pretty steep. As I'd predicted, the sand was perfect for the first day. There was no way I was going to hurt myself and I could get in all the sprints and rolls I could ever want. The only problem was, by the end of it, I was pretty much blind. Yesterday I found on the sand it was reasonably easy to roll, reasonably easy to run. Obviously that's sand though, so I've come down here to Heartland, where there's a very, very steep grassy hill. Look at this. Tell me that doesn't look good. Right, we're here. It's kind of perfect. I'd say it's pretty much exactly the same angle. I know this might look a little bit silly, but what I'm trying to do is simulate any kind of roll or slide that might happen on race day. That way, when it comes to the real thing, I won't be experiencing anything that I haven't experienced already. It's okay.
I bruised my knee.
It's a hub of activity down here today. Look at these cool cats. Meow. Run. Bye. Taking in the full extent of how much poo I've got on me. Shirt, brown. Joggers, brown. Leg, very brown. It's not glamorous. After all this very serious training, I feel like I've earned myself a dip. Ah! I thought I'd better briefly touch on the attire for the day. Start from the top down. I've got obviously a long sleeve shirt. I know it's a bit bright, but I want you guys to be able to see me on the day. So this is what I'm wearing. It's supplied very kindly by the guys at Rietveld, which is awesome. Joggers. I'm wearing 2 pairs of joggers actually, because I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be sliding quite a bit because it's supposed to rain. So I'm giving myself a bit of abrasion resistance and a little bit of padding. I know it's only 2 pairs of joggers, so it's not exactly going to save my life, but better than nothing, eh? And I've got, shit, let me pull this off. I've got my Vans. Now I know Chris mentioned about wearing like trail shoes or kind of AstroTurf studs, but definitely not like football boots. I was kind of debating football boots and throwing caution to the wind, but I've settled on these. One, because these are actually just my regular shoes and I wear these all the time, but 2, because of the grip they've got on them. They're not like regular Vans where they've got that kind of like indented grip. These have got raised, I don't know what you'd call them, little nubs, and they're actually really, really grippy on like sand, and they're really grippy on mud, and they're really grippy on like gravelly, like they're just pretty good for everything. I wear them all the time anyway because they're good for flips. That's what I'm wearing though on the day. The next day we made our way up to Gloucester, and after a very, very nervous night's sleep in the hotel, I woke up with this weird calm feeling that left me feeling both very confused and ready for the day.
Good morning.
Morning. How you feeling?
Yeah, ready.
It was a long odd walk up to the hill because the roads were closed, but that gave me plenty of time to admire these signs that were plastered all along the path. Now the race is a first come first serve, so we arrived nice and early. Since we had a bit of time to kill while we were waiting for the officials to arrive, I realised that there were people there from all over the world. Koreans, Austrians, and unfortunately, the French.
C'est parti pour le rolling cheese.
I should mention, if at any point you see Korean written down the bottom of the screen like this, it's because the Korean chaps were kind enough to let me use their footage. So to them, thank you very much, and I'll put a link to their account down below. After not too long, the Master of Ceremonies arrived, aka the Cheese Master. At this point, the crowds really started to gather, so everybody wrapped up the last bit of their liquid breakfast and moved towards the starting line. The more people started to arrive, the more I started to feel my nerves, so I had one last look at the hill and then went off for a tactical wee in the bushes. I had a quick chat with this man from the telly, and then it was time. The floodgates were open, everyone started pushing their way in, but I made it. I was in the race, and there was no turning back.
Roll the cheese! 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 Roll the cheese!
Chris broke away from the pack with an early lead while I was getting tangled up in the Frenchman. I saw Chris was quite far ahead, so I shaved off a bit of speed with a roll. That way I can get back to my feet and get after him. Chris had really pulled away at this point and I try and run him down, but unfortunately I catch my toe and roll, and that was it. I ended up coming in second with the man himself, Chris, coming in first. I can't be mad at this result. Chris deserved that win fair and square, and for him, what a perfect way to end the many years that he's been taking part in this amazing competition. Now, was I finished? Not by a long shot. There was still a slim chance that I could be going home with a wheel of cheese. The lung-busting uphill race was my last chance. We waited for the last downhill race to finish, where this poor fella broke his leg, and then it was on. The uphill race is as simple as it sounds. First one to the top of the hill wins. I put myself in the middle of the line and waited for the countdown. I powered off the line, trying to hold nothing back. I learnt from Chris earlier and I pulled away with an early lead. You can't really tell from any of the videos, but the only way to stop yourself from sliding down is by grabbing handfuls of grass and pulling your way up. By 3/4 of the way up, I'm completely cooked. I'm just taking half steps, trying to get any distance in I can. But with one final push, I bring it home for the win. I had earned myself a wheel of cheese. So where's the clip where I get to hold my cheese up to the crowd and celebrate? Well, there isn't one. I didn't really get to celebrate because I was too busy throwing up on the shoes of the spectators. You can see here how I lock eyes with the cheese master moments before disaster strikes. After a bit of recovery time, I waded my way through the crowds and back down to the bottom of the hill, where, to be honest, I still wasn't feeling amazing.
I feel really bad.
Eventually though, I got myself together and had a chat with Chris.
You beat me, second for me, but I think you were more than deserving of the win. Very good end to well, all the years that you've been going at the race. I just want to say thanks very much for giving me the advice and being so good here. And yeah, I really enjoyed myself. It's been great. You feeling good about it?
Yeah, buzzing. I saw you just out the corner of my eye, and I just had to run that last bit. You got the uphill win.
Yeah, uphill win. I feel terrible for it, but I got it in the end. But yeah, thanks very much, Chris.
And with that, my week-long adventure was over. This episode has been on cheese rolling featuring Chris Anderson. My name is Sam West, and this has been Wild West. Oh, just one more thing before you go. At the end of every episode, I like to give the athletes that are featured a gift, but in this case, Chris preferred that I would make a donation to charity, so that's exactly what I've done. I donated £100 to Acorns Children's Hospital and would encourage anybody who's watching this to do the same. Anyway, thanks again. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.